ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 8, Dhruva Mahārāja leaves home. So we are in the final section of this chapter where we are seeing effects of very intense meditation by Dhruva Mahārāja. So we are at text 80. So till now what we have seen is that the three worlds began to tremble as earth was pushed down by the intensity of Maharaj Dhruva's weight. How he had become so heavyweight? Because of holding the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. He became one with the Supreme in interest, because then we are going to see the Supreme is going to come. It is not the Mayavadi one with the Supreme. And thus, that he just assumed the total energy. Srila Prabhupada is going to describe this very well. So we come to text 80. Tasmin vidhyayati shmamatmano dvaram nirudhya sumananyasasdhiya loka niruchvasanipidata bhrisham salokapala sharanam yayurharim. Translation.
When Dhruva Maharaj became practically one in heaviness with Lord Viṣṇu, the total consciousness, due to his fully concentrating and closing all the holes of his body, the total universal breathing became choked up, and all the great demigods in all the planetary systems felt suffocated and thus took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. When hundreds of persons are sitting in an airplane, although they remain individual units, they each share in the total force of the airplane, which runs at thousands of miles per hour. Similarly, when unit energy is identified with the service of the total energy, the unit energy becomes as powerful as the total energy. As explained in the previous verse, Dhruva Maharaj, because of his spiritual advancement, became almost the total heaviness, and thus he pressed down the whole earth. Moreover, by such spiritual power, his unit body became the total body of the universe. Thus, when he closed the holes of his unit body to firmly concentrate his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the units of the universe, namely all the living entities, including the big demigods, felt the pressure of suffocation as if their breathing were being choked. Therefore, they all took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they were perplexed as to what had happened. This example of Dhruva Maharaj closing the holes of his personal body and thereby closing the breathing holes of the total universe clearly indicates that a devotee, by his personal devotional service, can influence all the people of the whole world to become devotees of the Lord. If there is only one pure devotee in pure Krishna consciousness, he can change the total consciousness of the world into Krishna consciousness. This is not very difficult to understand if we study the behavior of Dhruva Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
So here, Dhruva Maharaj became practically one in the heaviness with the Supreme Lord, the total consciousness. And due to his such concentration, and because he stopped breathing, he stopped all the holes of his body, the total universe as if stopped breathing, and there was a great suffocation and choking of Salokapala Sharanam Yayur Hari. And this made all the great demigods, Lokapala, all the planetary systems, they began to feel suffocated, and thus they took shelter of the Supreme Personality. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada beautifully explains that how when we are sitting in an aeroplane, although 100 passengers may be sitting in an aeroplane, 100 of them may be different, but they share the energy of the aeroplane, right? Because the aeroplane is flying at the speed of 1,000 kilometers per hour, everybody sitting inside the aeroplane is also flying at the speed of 1,000 kilometers per hour. They have assumed, what a beautiful example Srila Prabhupada gives. So simple, so practical, and so technically correct. That is, everybody assumes that velocity, everybody assumes that momentum, and everybody assumes that impact. Right? Same is the case with Maharaj Dhruva. Maharaj Dhruva, because he completely focused on the Supreme Lord, there was no separatist idea, separatist thought, separatist desire from than the pleasure of the Supreme. He became practically one in heaviness with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because he was standing on one leg and his toe pressing the earth just began to lose the balance. When he stopped breathing, we know that, in the 4th month, he was breathing air once in 12 days. And in the 5th month, he even stopped that. And when he perfected that art of not breathing and complete meditation on the Supreme, entire world began to suffocate. And Prabhupada says, this example, that because Dhruva Maharaj closing all the holes of his body and thereby closing the breathing holes of the universe, clearly indicates that a devotee, by his personal devotional service, what a golden statement this is. Devotee, by his personal devotional service, can influence all the people of the whole world to become devotees of the Lord. If there is only one pure devotee in pure Krishna consciousness, he can change total consciousness of the world into Krishna consciousness. And this is not very difficult to understand. And therefore, when we apply intensity in our own sadhana, it is actually, we are doing great favor to ourselves and also to people in general. What is the example? Example is Dhruva Mahārāja. Now, all the demigods, they became very frightened and they approached Lord Hari, Salokapala Sharanam Yayur Harim. And now they are going to go to the Supreme Lord and offer prayers. Deva Urchuhu, text 81. Naivam vidamo bhagavan pranarodham characharasya khila sattvadhamnah videhi tanno brijinat vimoksham prapta vayam tvam sharanam sharanyam. Translation.
The demigod said, Dear Lord, you are the refuge of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating, their breathing processes choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger. Purport. Dhruva Mahārāja's influence attained by executing devotional service unto the Lord was felt even by the demigods, who had never before experienced such a situation. Because of Dhruva Mahārāja's controlling his breathing, the entire universal breathing process was choked, It is by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that material entities cannot breathe, whereas spiritual entities are able to breathe. Material entities are products of the Lord's external energy, whereas spiritual entities are products of the Lord's internal energy. The demigods approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the controller of both kinds of entities, in order to know why their breathing was choked. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate goal for the solution of all problems within this material world. In the spiritual world, there are no problems, but the material world is always problematic. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of both the material and the spiritual worlds, it is better to approach him in all problematic situations. Therefore, those who are devotees have no problems in this material world. Vishwam Purna Sukhayate, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Devotees are free from all problems because they are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For a devotee, everything in the world is very pleasing because he knows how to use everything in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
Yeah.
So all the demigods, they approached the Supreme Lord and they began to pray, "My dear Lord, you are the refuge of all chara and achara, all moving and non-moving living entities. We are feeling suffocation and breathing process is choked up, and we have never experienced such a thing. Now we are taking shelter of you because only you can save us from this danger." Now, all the demigods were unable to breathe, they are choked up, and therefore they are offer only one prayer. Generally, whenever demigods will come to the Supreme Lord, they will offer Purusha Sukta prayers and long prayers they will offer. But here, because they are choked up, they are not knowing whether they will live for the next prayer or not. They are offering one prayer and they are directly requesting, "My dear Lord, please do something." In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, this was the influence of Maharaj Dhruva, that by executing devotional service, that influence was felt even by the demigods, and they had never undergone such a situation. Because Dhruva Maharaj was controlling his own breathing in connection with the Supreme, right? That is very important. It is not just, we are controlling our own breathing. No, he was controlling his own breathing in connection with the Supreme. Pure devotional service he was performing, and therefore it just resonated with everything within the material creation. Srila Prabhupada writes here that by the will of the Supreme, the certain living entities can breathe and certain living entities cannot. And these are called as para and apara prakriti. But the Supreme Lord is master of both. Right. So this is the secret of knowledge. Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, that MSC principle. One should know what is matter, what is spirit, and controller of both. Right. This is called as MSC. This is knowledge. What is matter, what is spirit, and controller of both. Demigods very well knew who is the controller of both. So M is matter, S is spirit, and C is controller of both. So this is MSC, principle of knowledge. They knew that the Supreme Lord is the ultimate goal for all the solutions, and thus, they approached the Supreme Lord. Now, Srila Prabhupada glorifies here demigods approaching the Supreme, because material world is called as Kuntha, spiritual world is called as Vaikuntha. But even those who are living in material world with Vaikuntha consciousness, they will have not any problems in the material world. Right, Prabhupada writes here, beautiful statement. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate goal for the solution of all problems within the material world. In the spiritual world, there is no problems. It is better to approach him for in all problematic situations. Those who are devotees, therefore, have no problems in the material world, because they always approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus for them, even the material world becomes Vishwam Purna Sukhayate, because they are connected with the Supreme. Right? For a devotee, everything in this world is very pleasurable, is very pleasing, because he knows how to use everything in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. Text 82. So now the Supreme Lord is also he is also immediately pleased, and he is now giving the solution. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Ma Bhaishtavaram Tapaso Duratyayan nivartya yashyati pratiyat swadhama yato hi vasprana nirodha asit Uttānapādi mai sangatatma. Translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, "My dear demigods, do not be perturbed by this. It is due to the severe austerity and full determination of the son of King Uttānapāda, who is now fully absorbed in thought of me. He has obstructed the universal breathing process. You can safely return to your respective homes. I shall stop this boy in his severe acts of austerities, and you will be saved from this situation." But here one word, Sangatatma, is misinterpreted by the Mayavadi philosophers who say that the self of Dhruva Mahārāja became one with the Supreme Self, the personality of Godhead. The Mayavadi philosophers want to prove by this word that the super soul and the individual soul become united in this way, and that after such unification, the individual soul has no separate existence. But there it is clearly said by the Supreme Here it is clearly said by the Supreme Lord that Dhruva Mahārāja was so absorbed in meditation on the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he himself, the universal consciousness, was attracted to Dhruva. In order to please the demigods, he wanted to go himself to Dhruva Mahārāja to stop him from his severe austerity. The Mayavadi philosophers' conclusion that the super soul and the individual soul become united is not supported by this statement. Rather, the super soul, the personality of Godhead, wanted to stop Dhruva Mahārāja from this severe austerity. By pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one pleases everyone, just as by watering the root of a tree, one satisfies every branch, twig, and leaf of the tree. If one can attract the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one naturally attracts the whole universe, because Krishna is the supreme cause of the universe. All the demigods were afraid of being totally vanquished by suffocation, but the personality of Godhead assured them that Dhruva Mahārāja was a great devotee of the Lord and was not about to annihilate everyone in the universe. A devotee is never envious of other living entities. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 8th chapter of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, entitled Dhruva Mahārāja Leaves Home for the Forest.
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Lord said, Ma bhaishta balam tapaso duratyaya. Ma bhaishta. Okay. They were saying, the Lord is saying, do not be afraid. So demigods were afraid. They're trembling, choked up, unable to breathe, suffocating. Right? And the Lord is saying, do not be afraid. All this is due to the severe austerities and the full determination of the son of King Uttānapāda. Right? So Dhruva's name is Uttānapāda. And he's very, very dear son of King Uttānapāda. So we should not be negative towards King Uttānapāda. He did made a mistake. But Dhruva is very, very dearly known as Uttānapāda. Later, the next chapter we will see when the Dhruva is afflicted by the Yakshas, the demigods, the great sages, they come and they also offer advice to Dhruva, and they also call Uttānapādas. So he's very dear son of King Uttānapāda. So Lord is explaining, because of his full absorption in the thoughts of me, he has practically assumed the total consciousness of me. I will go and stop his severe austerities, and thus I will save you from all the situation. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the word Sangatatma is being misinterpreted by Mayavadi philosophers to mean that, Dhruva became one with Supreme. So Mayavadi philosophers are, sometimes, somebody is just suffering from the disease, and the disease is so much that they are just looking for opportunity to just blurt it out or vomit. So Mayavadis, they are just always looking for some word here and there. Sangatatma, dekho, Sangatatma here. The Dhruva became one with the Supreme. But here, Prabhupada explains here, it is clearly stated here that Dhruva was absorbed in the thought of meditation. He was thinking of the Supreme Lord. Dhruva was different, Lord was different, and there was a different thought. which was there, right? So there is Bhakta, Bhagavan, and principle of devotional service. So this Mayavadi interpretation is not very supported in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, that Dhruva became one with the Supreme. Later we will see that the Lord is coming, Dhruva is offering obeisances, Dhruva is unable to speak, Lord is keeping his hand on the Dhruva's head, Dhruva offering beautiful prayers, Lord is very pleased, awards him, and then again goes back to Vaikuntha. So there is no question of Dhruva becoming one, right? Further, Srila Prabhupada says, this is the glory of pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasmin tushte jagat tushtam. Right? Everyone is satisfied when we satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada quotes Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Yatha taror moola nishechanena trupyanti tat skanda bhujopashakha pranopaharascha yatendriyanam tathaiva sarvam arhanam achyudeja. Just like by watering the root of the tree, entire tree, the branch, the twigs, the fruits, the flowers, all the tree is nourished and satisfied. And we cannot see the roots, by the way. Right? Somebody may say, why you are watering the root? You want to make the plant, the flower look nice. You want to make the fruit look nice. You want to make the leaves look nice. So directly sprinkle water there? No. Water has to be given to the roots, which are invisible. Similarly, the food has to be given to the udara, to the stomach, and then all other senses will derive the power. Similarly, by pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can please literally everyone in the world, and this is being assured. So in this case, demigods were afraid, but the Supreme Lord told them that no, Dhruva is not anxious to take your position or threaten you. He's a simple child, great devotee, and he's never envious of anybody. What to speak of you who are great demigods? I will go stop his austerities and things will come back to normal. So this is how we conclude the 8th chapter of 4th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Dhruva Mahārāja leaves home for the forest. What a beautiful chapter this is. Amazing chapter, 82 shlokas. Just to summarize, this Dhruva's, what all things we have seen. We have seen, lineage of Adharma. And then we have seen Suruci unnecessarily chastising Dhruva, and Dhruva's a very intense reaction. Sunīti's advice that, never become amangalam tata. No, my dear son, do not wish bad for her. And then giving advice to worship the Lord. Narada testing Dhruva Mahārāja. Then Dhruva expressing his ambitious goal, saying, Narada Muni, your advice is very good, but doesn't sit in my heart. Narada, instructs him in the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And then he's also instructing him in how to perform devotional service, especially the Ashtanga Yoga. And then Narada Muni comforting Uttānapāda. And now Dhruva Mahārāja concluding his austerities. Very intense austerity. First month, eating only fruits and berries once in 3 days. Second month, eating dry grass and leaves once in 6 days. Third month, drinking sip of water once in 9 days. Fourth month, breathing Vayu Bhakshana, breathing once in 12 days. Fifth month, stopped breathing. 6 months, austerity complete. And the Supreme Lord is pleased, and he is appearing here. What an amazing chapter. So we will slightly conclude early today. We will conclude here and continue tomorrow. I have a college at 8 o'clock today, so I need to rush. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Dan Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.